Welcome, friends, to the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour with your hosts, Sig Bisley and Colt Mauser. Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Now, let the animation appreciation commence.
All right, back to normal this week. COVID's gone, vacation's over. Should have a nice, normal podcast this week. Next week might be sketchy because certain co-hosts are getting knee surgery, so we'll see if we can squeak one out. But if not, we'll be back.
We'll see how many drugs I'm on.
How many perks you're on?
Yeah, how out of it I am.
At any rate, so I dug up an OVA like probably almost a year ago, and I've been kind of sitting on it because it's a weird one. But we did Akira a couple weeks ago, and it happens to be written and directed by the same guy who did Akira.
It's not written and directed by him. I looked it up.
Really?
He did the designs.
He
was intimately involved, but he did not write and direct.
Either way, it's
Dai Sato actually wrote it.
Oh, really? Wow,
And that guy's been around.
Even more interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't look it up or anything, which
And the
is
guy
why
who
I'm
did
wrong.
the guy who did Tokyo Ghoul directed it. So
Listen,
anyway, it was actually even more fascinating.
Listen, I looked at it and I was like, shit. Like, that is 100% Akira bikes that those guys are
yeah,
using.
he did all the designs, obviously.
At any rate, so it made a good segue to actually get to it. We're going to do it last week.
It's the
but
best
then,
cup noodle commercial I've ever seen.
Shit get wild. Anyway, what's interesting about it is for Nissin, the company who makes cup noodles, it was they basically financed it as a special, like, I don't know, giant ad for their 50th anniversary.
There's definitely some very clear product placements.
So it's kind of wild. Anyway, it ended up being more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
At least the first half.
So
yeah.
we'll get to that. We're going to get into the first season of Venture Brothers because we're watching all of them in succession.
Hoping that movie that's going to be allegedly the finale comes out this year and doesn't slip into next year. Venture Brothers has always been a long wait.
Yeah, it's going to be like, they'll say it'll come out this year, but it'll be like 2 years from now.
The last season was 2018. So.
At any rate, we might have to watch the whole thing again like 2 years from now to wrap.
I wouldn't complain. It's really goddamn
But that's okay. So we'll do that. We got whatever I watched this week. And
plus Trigun.
That's what I watched this
Trigun.
week.
Yeah, but it's the one I actually watched too.
Yeah, that's your only contribution.
Yeah.
Oh, we never finished. I want to do that this week if we have time.
Legend of Galactic Heroes?
Yeah, I mean, Jones had to finish it because we just stopped like right in the middle.
Yeah, well, we got through that one like mini arc, and we didn't start the next one yet because there were too many things to watch last season.
That's true. Anyway, we'll get to that eventually.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Before any of that, as usual, the news.
The news. All right. Well, you know how we don't like to give you bad news, but I'm gonna have to give you some bad news right off the start.
Life is full of bad news.
Yeah. Leiji Matsumoto has passed away.
No.
I mean, he was 85, so you know he did it right. Lived a damn long life. Did some really cool stuff.
Who's gonna make super inappropriate like Japanese World War II anime?
Matsumoto's the best. So, you know, the guy who did Space Battleship Yamato, Star Blazers, whatever you want to call it, Galaxy Express 999, Cosmo Warrior Zero, My Youth in Arcadia, Captain Harlock. That's Leiji Matsumoto.
He's got a hell of a resume.
He's like the godfather of Japanese space opera.
I fucking love his style, man. Oh my god, it's so good.
I do too. Sometimes his stuff is a little slow, but man, his designs and his themes are great.
What was that last like 6-episode OVA he did? What the hell was it called? Like, it's like Otomo or something. I'm gonna be mad when I read it.
Oh, I don't remember.
We watched it. It was like 5 or 6 years ago, probably.
Yeah,
it could be 10 years ago. I lost all concept of time at some point. But yeah, it was good, and it was like in his classic style. But it was just the whole center was slow as fuck. I'm just like, man, get to the point, son.
Yeah, that's.
But he was probably like 90 years old when he did it. So whatever.
Well, he wasn't 90 yet, but I know what you mean. So anyway, R.I.P. Leiji Matsumoto. You did some good shit. Complete legend.
He'll be remembered.
Oh, absolutely. His influence alone is just enormous.
Which is much more than most people can, you know.
That is correct. Anyway, moving on to some strange news. So I don't know if y'all heard. This isn't the news, but this is just to segue into the news. I don't know if y'all heard the demon that is Barney is coming back. So,
and if you're not as old as me, you might not remember Barney, but
So speaking about things that are coming back that are way less horrific, Zoids apparently is coming back. So the 40th anniversary is coming up.
did Zoids ever go away? I feel like there was always some kind of Zoids out.
Yes, it's been out. So 2018, there was a 50 episode series. So it's not like it's been gone for that long.
I was going to say, I kind of remember it fairly recently, but.
Oh, apparently, and they had another series that aired in like 2020. So listen, it hasn't, I'm not saying it went away. I'm not saying it's like resurrected from the earth.
Listen, Zoids is back after being gone. Yesterday.
But it's the 40th anniversary, so you can get some more old school original kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
That'd be cool, yeah.
You know how it is. Like you get new, it's like Pokemon. Yeah, you get new series, but it's all new junk. Like I want Ash back, man. I want like the originals. I want some Pikachu. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all out there remember the Zoids toys? That you had to like pay somebody to put together because they were like rubber bands.
I never
and, like,
had any.
motors.
Yeah, that was one toy
I remember
line I never had.
I was a little kid when I got it. And I opened up the box, and there was just little pieces everywhere and all this shit. I think my uncle put it together for me. It had these like little rubber bands that held.
Yeah, because they were like motorized.
Yeah. They had like motors in them and shit. They were super fucking.
They were really cool.
But you had to be like at least 10 to even give a fuck about them.
This one's not motorized, but they did a solo Chogokin, I think, for the the Liger or whatever. Yeah, it was really cool. A couple years ago, I don't know how available it is. You know how those go, like in and out, impossible to find, super cheap, impossible to find, like
Daytona 3 that I got on sale.
Hell yeah, do that all day, every day. Anyway, if you're interested in Zoids, especially old school Zoids, it looks like you're gonna get something here for the 40th anniversary. So be on the watch, be on the lookout, be on the watch, whatever. So this is just a little bit of news. Nipponichi, who does all the Disgaea games, that's what they're really known for, but a lot of those kind of like strategy RPGs, kind of endless options, old school, kind of PS1 style flavor.
You know the style.
So they're coming out with a new turn-based RPG, Zicatris. I don't know if it's going to be that same strategy style or if it's going to have something different going on, something more like Final Fantasy or whatever, so we'll see. I'm going to assume it's going to be closer to Disgaea, but
probably.
There was a trailer for it out there. I've obviously not watched it yet, but there's a trailer for it out there. PS4, PS5, and the Switch. That's pretty much how they release everything. So it is good because if you don't have a PS4, PS5, you can at least get on the Switch. And honestly, I think if there's going to be one console you should own, it's probably the Switch. Like
at this point, yeah. I mean, it's all I have.
Yeah,
it does the job.
Not to shill for Nintendo, but just how I feel about it.
It's just convenience. I mean, it is what it is.
All right, moving on. So, City Hunter. We said that there was a new anime coming out. Really pretty looking anime movie.
I'm super stoked.
But now there's a trailer out, and there's some of the staff has been announced. I don't know.
Nobody of import.
I'm sure they are, but I don't know any of these people. So, and I'm not going to go look them up. You can go look them up on your own, peoples. It just looks really cool, and I love City Hunter. I love the idea of City Hunter.
It's a fantastic franchise.
I really need to get back to it and watch a lot more City Hunter.
The only problem with City Hunter is it's basically like Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean? It's like there's no through threads in anything. It's just... And I mean, it's great if you want to just sit down and watch a bunch of unrelated episodes.
Yeah.
Where there's always a woman involved because he will only work for women. He's always like... it's like a classic. He's always like trying to mac on him. He always gets slapped down. There's always some kind of funny villain. He always does some ridiculous thing. It's just like that great formula.
Yep.
And it never gets old. I watched like 10 episodes. They're all the same. And I fucking love it.
It's like that 80s like Magnum PI formula, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Right? So Crunchyroll's got the series streaming now and the movies, I think, and everything else. So you can go check that out.
Yeah, I watched it on Crunchy.
But like I said, there's a new movie. Animation looks gorgeous. Go check that out. And
I'm excited.
Look forward to it.
When does it come out? Did you say
2023? I don't think it has an actual in the fall.
Oh, that's fine. As long as it's this year, and I don't have to wait like 5
Well,
years.
it'll be open in Japan in the fall, so you might have to wait till early next year.
Winter, that's fine.
Yeah,
I can live with that. There's other stuff to entertain me.
All right. Speaking of things that look way nicer than they usually do, but are far crazier, Crayon Shin-Chan is getting a 3D CG movie.
That's amazing.
It looks, the style of it reminds me a bit of the Lupin one, Lupin the First.
Yeah.
Which was really cool.
That would be cool, yeah.
I don't know that it's going to actually be the same, but it's got a more claymation looking style than that did, but it's got that same kind of cartoonish quality to
but
it.
I mean, it's Shin-Chan. Like, everybody's a weird, I don't know, clay monster.
Yeah. Everything's kind of weird. So, you know it's going to be funny because Shin-Chan's always funny.
I was literally thinking of that convention the other day where we kept yelling at that poor girl to do the butt dance because she had like a chick. I didn't realize it was a chick at the time, but she was wearing this ridiculous like giant Shin-Chan costume, huge head and everything.
Yes.
I was just like, do the butt dance, and she actually did it. I'm like, yes, you just made my day.
Oh, it was the best. Great costume. Anyway, go check that out. Again, that's got a trailer up and some visuals, so you can go check that out. And that's going to be out over the summer. So
nice.
Well, in Japan again. So
yeah. So maybe by winter.
Adjust expectations.
Well, you might be able to. If it comes out in DVD over there, you can preview it. As they say.
All right. So
you can preview it on the high seas.
Once again, Pokemon is back at it with merchandise with another Super Giant plushie because apparently people love Super Giant plushies.
Fair enough.
And we've covered them before, so I figured, why not bring this one up too? Especially since it's $420.
Holy shit!
Worth of plushie whale.
That is a lot of plushie.
So Whale Lord.
Whale Lord.
That's right.
Is it big enough to like sleep on?
It's like paying it. I mean, it's big enough to sleep with. You know what I'm saying?
Hey-o.
All you weirdos out there, maybe you want to move to Spain? What the hell country actually just legalized some stuff you really shouldn't be legalizing?
I think most of Europe you can get busy with animals.
It was very bad. Anyway, you shouldn't do that. We're not endorsing that. Regardless,
leave your poor dog alone.
If you would like a giant plushie, because you're the kind of person to collect those things, or you want it for your children, or you really want to spoil them,
or you want to make a mess all over it.
No, not that. Don't do that.
Oh no, that's not what we're doing. Never mind.
No, that is not what we're doing. You can buy yourself a Super Giant Whale Lord plushie to go with your Super Giant Snorlax and your Giant Pikachu and all the other stuff they've done over the years. I love the wacky merchandise, man.
You'd have to have a big house to like start collecting that shit.
All right, so so apparently a swordsmith family has created a replica of Shishio's sword.
Oh man!
From Rurouni Kenshin, and it's going to be showing at an exhibit here.
Was Shishio's sword like mad chipped up?
Shishio's sword was the one that like lit itself on fire.
Yeah.
Because it was covered in like the fat
of like his enemies,
all the people he killed, which like doesn't really work
that
way.
That was such a crap JoJo's plot.
It does have a chip. You are correct.
As much as I loved Rurouni Kenshin, it had some of that like I have to like over explain this wacky plot bullshit. You know what I mean? So
they put the notches in and all that stuff. I'm sure it doesn't light itself on fire that easily, but it's apparently part of a whole Kenshin exhibit. It's also got a Sakubato that they did back in 2019.
That's awesome.
And it makes sense that they're doing an exhibit now since this year we are getting the new Kenshin adaptation.
Oh man,
which looks so good.
There's so much good stuff coming out now.
And Watsuki was like intimately involved. With
yeah.
And apparently skated on whatever weird accusations that were against him a couple years ago because he's back, baby.
Even Japan will Me Too you occasionally.
It is what it is.
It happens.
It probably happens more there legitimately than it does other places.
Well, yeah.
But anyway.
You can get away more shit over there.
You can go check this sword out in person at this event. Unfortunately, the event is, of course, in Japan. It's at the Gifu's Seki Sword Tradition Museum.
Wow, that sounds like a cool thing to see anyway.
It does. It's a Rurouni Kenshin in the World of Japanese Swords exhibit. I'd love to go see it, but if you're there until, I think it's the end of March, you can go check this thing out. March 30th. Yep, you can go check it out. So, get your butt to Japan, maybe? If you can, and they'll let you in. I mean, they're not quite there yet.
Mars? I don't know.
Speaking of things you can go see in Japan that are cool, and now you have some more time to go see them. They were originally going to close down the Giant Moving Gundam exhibit.
Oh, yeah, I read that.
In 2022. They moved it to 23. Now it's moved to March of 2024. So you have until March 2024 to go see that the Giant Moving Arc 78-2.
Why would they take it down? Why would they do that to me?
They've done that with a lot of their Gundam statues. Like, they put them up and they take them down.
Maybe they're just not made to stay up permanently.
That's probably part of it. Probably too expensive. This one, like, because it moves, it probably is too damn expensive to keep up all the time.
Well,
but
plus, like, you're never that far from, like, salt air in Japan, no matter how
Oh,
far
of
inland
course.
you are. So it's like living here. It's just everything rots all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it fucks up electronics, like all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not fun to keep all that stuff working. It's like a real life die guard
Right?
going on. But
Man,
anyway,
nobody's got enough money for that.
you got or can do that much paperwork. So you got another year and a half now to go see that thing. So if you can go see it, go see it. I'd love to go see it. I don't think I'll make it to Japan by March of next year, unfortunately.
Yeah, probably not.
I'd love to, but probably not. Probably be another couple years. So oh well, it is what it is.
It's life, baby.
All right, more stuff that's going to be in Japan and not here. But so we were bummed out a while ago that there was a Sega arcade that was closing in Akihabara, across from the station. One of those iconic ones. So apparently,
Classic.
Bandai Namco has, either rented out or bought out the space, and they're going to actually put up their own arcade.
Man, awesome.
And it's going to open on March 1st, apparently.
There's nothing that makes me sadder than, like, all the arcades that closed around here.
The basement will have 46 Gundam Extreme vs. 2 X Boost machines.
Jesus Christ.
That is freaking awesome.
That's amazing.
It's going to have prize machine games on the first floor, raffles, all sorts of cool stuff. So, I mean, if you're in Japan, if you're in Akihabara, go check this out.
I'm infinitely jealous.
I would love to go check this out when it opens because there's some cool arcade games, man.
Yeah, it does sound super awesome.
Maybe not as classic as the Sega stuff, but hey, whatever.
Take what I can get.
I'm not going to complain. Certainly better than what we get over here, where I can't even go to my cool arcade place on the friggin' Vegas Strip anymore.
Oh, GameWorks. I was so glad we, like, killed it that time, because then the next time we went to Vegas, it was like, nope, nothing. Gone.
So fun. All right. So, we are now firmly in the zone where weebs will take over the earth, and by that I mean the entertainment industry, for both good and bad. So the bad being a lot of really hack plots. This is something that I think Tomino and Miyazaki have gone on about before, that, people writing anime nowadays are people that were just fans of anime, so therefore the anime is not as good. And there's something to be said for that. People with actual real life experiences are going to more likely to write a better story than people who are just fans of a thing.
Well, plus in the 80s, like, all those writers were they were hacking, like, the Terminator and shit.
Well,
it was all, like, awesome American movies that they basically
But they also had
ported over.
A lot of them had actual experiences with some pretty rough stuff back in the day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
now
that does help.
It's all like cheesecake millennials.
And there's still good stuff. Don't get me wrong. There's always going to be good writers. But now you got Michael B. Jordan, who's doing Creed 3 and directing it.
Because that needed to happen.
Yeah, well, hey, it is what it is, right? I'll take a boxing movie that's kind of okay over a lot of other movies out there.
I suppose.
Not a big fan of Creed, but it is what it is. Anyway, he took inspiration for his fight scenes from all sorts of stuff, including Megalobox and Hajime no Ippo, which are, kind of same.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. He also talked about other shonen stuff, but I mean, if you're going to get inspiration from a boxing movie, you could do worse than Megalobox and Hajime no Ippo. So we'll see. Something to look out for if you go see the movie, to see if there's something in there. You're like, hey, wait a minute, that's anime as fuck.
I mean, if you're gonna copy, like, you should just copy the whole story from Megalobox.
But regardless,
you can kind of just change it up and clean it, like change the window dressing. It's like perfect.
It's come full circle where directors of big Hollywood movies are now, integrating, and being inspired by weeb stuff openly, because we all know that, like, the Wachowskis and even Spielberg and some of the other ones.
Oh, fucking James Cameron, obviously.
James Cameron all the time. Not that I like talking about James Cameron anymore, because God, what a sad sack of shit he's turned into.
It's such a shame because he, like, did so much cool stuff.
You should have known he was a weirdo when he just did Titanic and then just fucked off, right? Like, that was just weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. He's, like, late to the social justice party. It's like, nah, everybody's done with that. you should turn that boat around.
Regardless, you're going to go see Creed 3. Be on the lookout for some anime stuff, and, maybe we'll see if he lifted some stuff directly or not. Be interesting to see. All right, so if you, want to learn how to do lots of establishing shots and city shots over cool music, with slow pans. And
I know where this is going.
whatever else. Your man Mamoru Oshii will be teaching a 5+ hour video course.
Oh man,
on anime and film directing.
that would be like fun just to check out.
It's 20 videos apparently, and the course is only $75 and has English subtitles.
Wow, that is like super tempting. I'd love to just pick his brain, kind of.
Yeah, well, it's videos, so you're not going to be actually talking.
No,
but
I mean, technically, you're picking his brain just by listening to it.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty cool. So if you want to fork over the $75, I would say go check this out. I mean, Oshii's got some interesting ideas, and some of his anime is really
Listen, if nothing
well
else,
directed.
the man has style. Like,
Yeah.
you know it's him. Like the second you fucking see it, because of the
second I
aforementioned,
see,
like, you know,
Just
just a
slow
shot
of a street corner.
Yeah, and like some,
And then like one of a
music and,
plane
like,
going overhead with like some, wires in between.
Yep.
and-
So many people rip that off later on too.
Oh
Is
yeah,
it, like,
absolutely.
Especially like the airport scene where the plane goes over and you're looking through like the barbed wire of the fence.
Yep.
Like, God, everywhere.
Classic stuff. So
Super funny.
anyway, go check this out if you're interested in it. Like I said, it has English subtitles. It's on some service called Naro On Demand. So I don't know how you find it. Google it up. Go check that out. Like I said, $75 and you get 20 different videos where it explains all the shit to you. If you're some sort of aspiring director or maybe aspiring CG kind of person that, you also need to know how to direct things if you're going to do CG. Probably worth your time and money. All right. Moving on here. Last bit of news. So this statement is not going to make a lot of sense. So Crunchyroll is laying off approximately 85 employees. And they say it's not a cost-saving measure, but resolving redundancy between Crunchy and Funimation.
Is Funimation just done?
But doesn't that make it a cost-saving measure? Yeah, but if you merge the two companies, like, isn't that by definition a cost-saving measure? You're eliminating redundancies. That's a cost-saving measure. I mean, I think I get the sentiment that, we're not losing money, guys. It's just that, now that we have Funimation here, we obviously don't need people doing all the same stuff,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
I bet you they're losing some money.
Oh,
My guess is they're losing some money.
almost definitely.
I think piracy has been on the rise a bit because streaming services have been such a pain in the ass. So more people are getting used to it and used to using the different ways you can find things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they just get fed up with not being able to find stuff. We've had that same problem ourselves.
Insufferable. It drives me nuts.
Even though I give all these services my money, I still can't get certain things. It's like, we got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got Amazon, you got High Dive, you got Retro Crush. I had Funny and Crunchy. Like, between all of these, you still can't give me stuff. Like,
You'd be surprised the stuff that's like kind of popular too. It's just like,
that
why
you
is
can't
this
find.
not fucking here? Like,
It's
I don't get
ridiculous.
it.
So, yeah, I bet you this money's down there. Plus, you also have the contingent of people that are pissed off because of the fuckery that goes on with some of the translations on Crunchy.
It's
stuff.
getting more prevalent.
And yes, it seems like it doesn't happen in the big stuff, like the mainstream stuff, probably because they wouldn't let
it's
them
all the
touch
small
it.
shit that a lot of people aren't paying attention.
But it's the
to.
niche stuff. But the niche stuff is where your real hardcore fans are at, and the ones that will raise a real stink about it.
Well, and it's a lot of stuff that makes the story confusing. You know what I mean?
Your average,
Because it's hard enough to translate from Japanese to English
It
and get
is.
it correct. You know what I mean?
but like your average normie or near normie who's watching like, Bleach is less likely to complain about something
Yeah.
than your like hyper autist that's watching some like super specific niche product.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see where this goes. I didn't think good things were to come out of Sony buying Crunchyroll. So,
Yeah. It's actually, I expected worse. So,
yeah, it hasn't been horrific yet, but we'll see what happens in the long run. I do think hopefully this will be a bit of a wake up call with ESG money drying up. There's not going to be as much of a temptation for companies to just go whole hog. Like, as they're going broke to go whole hog for the ESG money, it's going to be more, well, shit, we have to actually pull out of the nosedive instead of trying to get, like, daddy government money to come save us.
yeah, we're entering that phase where going woke didn't solve the problem. Like, look at Disney.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like there's not enough ESG money like in the universe to save that fucking dumpster fire.
No.
And they've like ruined whole brands.
You can't
You're not squeezing any money out of Star Wars.
You can't pay
anytime soon.
$4 billion for Star Wars and then flub it so bad and expect to get anywhere. Just very, very, very dumb. Anyway, with that, that's the news.
The news. Okay, let's see.
Giant
Beasts of Ars. This was actually a very interesting episode because they go back and it's like backstory about Jiro's wife, who was his cleric.
Yep.
Yeah, like because they end up accidentally going back to the village that he met her in because she's like some weird race with horns. She's like a really hot chick with like funny little purple horns.
So she was horny?
She's horny for Jiro. Regardless, so he has to like, he talks to his father-in-law and like all this stuff. And then, he kind of just goes back through memory lane of how they met and all this stuff. And it explains why he knows that other paladin, the one he was fighting last
few episodes. Yeah.
And then it gets into a little bit more of like that princess or whatever. Like the thing with the king and, or is he, whatever the fuck that guy is. There's the king.
The mayor, the Pope of Chili Town.
Yeah, there's barely a character in this. And then, the two evil guys who were making the fake clerics.
Yep.
And then how his friend showed up there and all that stuff. But really interesting episode.
So filling out some backstory.
It also, because there was kind of this rift between Kumi and Jiro because he felt weird about like having to take another.
Sure.
Because like the paladins and clerics are almost always married. Like, it's a very like intense bond thing.
Yeah.
So to just like have your partner die and then to take on another one, it's like weird. But then they kind of solved all that because he he told Kumi the backstory and then they all kind of like they had feels and then it was cool.
They had feels, then they had feels. You know what I'm saying?
Fucking bunny chick does nothing. I don't even know why she's there.
Is she fan service?
Yeah, she's
then that's why she's there.
But like not enough fan service. She's gonna have to do something amazing later because she's just there.
Could be one of those types of characters that just like.
Is she doing something in the background that we don't know about till later? It's interesting.
It's like Shield Hero with like that other sword girl who was useless for forever.
Oh yeah.
The one they picked up at the end of the first season.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just interesting. Like a completely
anime does that sometimes. Is my point.
A completely underused character because Milan like at least fights sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's kind of a plot device. He'll go get his ass kicked and like Jiro has to save him. Stuff like that. Anyway, observation. Revenger. So they killed like the like. I think it was like he was like in the government. The guy who was actually bringing in the opium.
Yep.
Right. So they killed.
The government was bringing in drugs to its own country?
Yeah, it turns out it's like 90%.
No.
Like the entire government's corrupt at this point.
No.
But,
I too have seen Sicaria.
Like normal. Anyway.
I'd be surprised when it isn't.
So Raizo's kind of bummed because he feels like he should feel better about the whole thing now that like it's done, but he really doesn't.
Vengeance never works that way. Classic trope.
It's true. But now there's like a crooked cop who's like trying to find, like somebody's apparently found the hidden opium, and then there's like this crooked cop that's like he basically like shakes down like the sleepy. Did I ever mention the sleepy cop?
No.
There's this like weird cop. He's in like. He like pretty much hangs in the red light district because he's like a drug. He's like a
vice.
Yeah, like a vice cop basically. But he's just like hangs out in brothels and shit, and like barely ever.
Classic corrupt vice cop.
Yeah, but he's not really corrupt. Like he's actually a pretty.
that's corrupt.
Decent
it's just a
guy.
Different kind of corruption.
But then they're like the super corrupt cop is like trying to like shake him down because he wants to find Raizo for some reason because everybody thinks Raizo knows where the opium is and shit, and they think he knows anything, but he knows nothing. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like interplay with that, and basically, also I almost forgot the main thing. There's basically this like weird nunnery that like monks go to.
Okay,
but it's actually because like monks can't get busy with chicks, so they like. All these evil, like, fake nuns they will get dudes addicted to opium and turn them into like, dress them up like chicks and turn them into male prostitutes.
Okay.
And it's all about this like this one monk who's not into it, but he like, he kind of has to like.
What a transphobe.
Yeah, total transphobe, right? Oh no, he gets into it later.
All right.
But anyway,
he overcomes
it's this whole
transphobia.
thing where he wants nothing to do with it, but then like the prostitute tells him his story, like how he got ensnared by these awful bitches, and then he kind of like falls in love with them a little bit, and he like wants to save him, but then he gets these bitches have like this crazy thing that looks like a snake head with teeth, and they'll just like, if you won't take the opium, they'll inject you with it to get you hooked on it,
give you the heroin.
So they basically get the poor monk hooked on heroin, or not heroin.
Well,
it's whatever.
It's like morphine at that point, but yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then he basically facilitates a gold coin to be bitten, so that's how Jiro and everybody get involved.
Yep.
And so that's kind of all those plot points are kind of like coming together for this one job. So anyway, that's that. The fuck was else? Oh, Saito. This one's finally like starting to wrap stuff up too. Like story wise with the ninja.
Yep.
So, last episode, Morlock stopped time, and then he like forgot what the fuck he was supposed to do.
Yeah, very Dio of him.
And then, but Saito had like written the plan like on his hand, and he happens to see it. And he's like, "Oh, thank God!" Like Saito knows what's going on. So then he basically just blows this thing up. But as he's blowing it up, he touches it, and he like somehow, because the ninja and that fairy summoned it, like he can. He gets their memories for some reason. He figures out why the ninja's doing it.
Yep.
And then he feels bad because he's doing it for a good reason. So he like blows his hand off because he like he uses instead of going full like power, he just like kind of goes half power, just enough to kill it without killing the ninja, blah, blah, blah. But it ends up blowing his hand off, which doesn't matter because everybody loses limbs in like every episode of this show. Because it's like so easy, just like the fairy just reattaches it.
Oh, gotcha.
It's just magical bullshit. Whatever.
Yep. Some Harry Potter shit. Like, I lost all the bones in my arm. Whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, he basically tells the ninja like, I am the wizard that can control time that you're looking for, but I can't do what you want. Like only the guy who like told me how to do what I could do knows that, and he fucked off to like, I think he's in Saito's world. Because he had a bunch of junk from Saito's world.
Yeah.
So I imagine that'll be a thing later. But anyway, apparently the king, the like Chud king that like he wrecked that demon lord and like was keeping him as a pet basically. Like apparently he is like a god tier wizard. And he can like basically, he can't do what the ninja wants, but he can bring that chick back to life basically.
Okay.
But the ninja has to sacrifice a body for a life for a life,
equivalent
basically.
Exchange. Yep.
So the ninja like sacrifices himself, and that demon lord is actually like he's like the uncle of one of the demons that's like with the ninja. It's like it gets wicked, like retarded.
Sure.
It is a pretty funny. It tied up everything good, and that's basically how it ended. The ninja goes off to the king, and they do whatever. But
Did the ninja sacrifice himself?
I assume so. It just ends.
Oh, they don't show it.
It ends with them like fucking off back to the king.
Gotcha.
Like they haven't got that far yet. But anyway, it tied up all those loose plot points. It's a really hard show to explain because there's like so many there's like 50 tiny little things. Like literally like these 2-minute like sections, and there's like 40 characters, and it all fits together. That's the best I can do.
Okay. Trigun Stampede. So we got to the point where...
Oh, yeah, they were fighting on the...
It was the second half of that episode where they were fighting on the giant sand ship.
It's like a sand cruise ship.
Sand tank. Whatever it is. It's freaking enormous. Like the size of a freaking town.
Yeah, it's like a sand cruise ship with a giant fucking railgun.
And they were dealing with like the ridiculous neon-covered freaking
those
gang.
are ridiculous.
And they're kind of a non-issue. They're just kind of there. They're almost more for comic relief.
Yeah.
And like the security forces around there, also useless.
They're like shiny Jawas.
It really comes down to the jerks working for Knives, the guy with the psychic powers, like freaking the telekinesis.
I don't know how you're gonna deal with that guy. He is fucking ridiculous.
So his basic idea is that he wants to eliminate all of Wolfwood's attachments to everything, so he'll come back and just do work for them.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why they brought his childhood friend that they've turned into an assassin there, and made him. He like reawakened the childhood friend, and then the childhood friend shot himself in the head and fell off the ship. He's clearly not going to be dead because of all the regeneration.
Yeah. And then they're trying to smash the orphanage they both came from.
And then that's the second thing, right? They're trying to smash that orphanage, trying to kill all the ties. And why the hell Wolfwood would ever come back at that point, I don't know. They think demoralization is going to work.
Yeah, like,
Wolfwood seems to be a little...
Like, you ruined my life even harder, so now I'm going to work for you?
His personality is just going to make him kill you. It's not going to demoralize him. Like, it's just... These people aren't very bright in that regard.
They're
anyway.
poor judges of character.
But I suppose that's what happens when you're a ridiculous psychic telekinesis monster. So they try to like flip over this ship has this like enormous ion cannon.
That's what it is, an ion
That's
cannon.
primarily for like
it's the,
taking out obstacles.
Yeah, it's like blasting giant rocks out of the way and shit.
So they're gonna level it at the town. They want to basically shoot it at the town and crash the ship into the town, take out the orphanage, right? So the whole episode is pretty much Vash and Wolfwood and Meryl and what's his name? Roberto De Niro.
Yeah.
Who's kind of just there.
I usually just call him old guy.
Yeah. Trying to stop that, right? Trying to stop and the crew of the ship too, but trying to stop that from happening. And, eventually they do stop the cannon from doing that. Like they basically force it upwards with some anchors and stuff so that it fires straight up and doesn't shoot at the orphanage, and then it breaks apart after that. So
Vash actually does something.
They can't fire it again. Yeah, Vash is actually useful.
That kicks some ass.
And he beats up a lot of people, which, okay, at least he's not completely nonviolent. And then to get the ship to stop, because now the ship's going to still crash into the place.
Yeah.
He has to go wake up the plant. And the plant, it's like a plant monster. Like it's some type of weird alien-looking monster.
It's a sexy plant lady.
And he's got the same... So it's got patterns on it that light up, and he's got the same patterns on his skin. So, I think the implication is
he's a plant monster.
Or, I think him and Knives are kind of a crossbreed or an experiment.
Yeah, they're like some kind of construct.
Yeah, or hybrid or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's where it ends. So we'll see more about that in the future. Get some more details. It's a really good episode. It was a really good couple episodes. It's got me. I wasn't uninvested in the show, but it's got me.
Yeah, no, those
extra invested in the show.
Those last couple episodes kind of regained my interest.
But we'll see. Trigun's always going to be about will they stick the landing. So
it's true.
Anyway, excellent episode. Show is still a easy recommend. That was episode 7, I believe. So
the animation hasn't fallen off either.
No.
It's still pretty damn good.
Plenty of time to catch up. Anyway, that's it for stuff of the week. Talk about some Venture Brothers.
Why did I say? I want to say episode, then I want to say series. Season 1.
Season. Series would work if it was
series 1.
If it was British and everything's a series.
Yeah. Let's pretend I'm British and not just retarded.
Well, you repeat yourself. Anyway,
zing.
So, Venture Brothers. What the hell is Venture Brothers? So. It's an Adult Swim cartoon, one of the old school ones. One of the ones that has real animation, by the way.
Yeah.
It's got a very original Scooby-Doo style of animation, so don't expect it to look like, Avatar, rough cut stuff, stuff that's like, oh my God, it's the best. But it's very good at what it does. Like,
I'm sure like that first season, they did not get a shit ton of money either.
No, but I'm even thinking of later seasons, right? Like, it's got a very specific style. You have to be into that style. Not that it's a bad style, but it's a more simplistic style, right?
Yeah, it's
classic cartoon style. It's supposed to look like Johnny Quest because it's Johnny Quest.
Yeah, basically.
Right. This is basically a continuation of Johnny Quest, but not Johnny Quest storyline. It's in the same universe.
It's like 30 years later, basically.
This show is it's a boutique show basically made by 2 people. It's Jackson Public and it's Doc Hammer. And they basically do. They
write it, do all the voices,
Yeah, some other people work on voice stuff, but they do like everything, right? Like they do so much stuff, and it's ridiculous. It's a boutique show essentially,
and that's why it takes fucking forever.
It takes forever, and there's there's 13 episodes in the first season plus a special and a pilot. For the first few seasons, there's 13 episodes, then there's some specials, then there's shorter seasons and whatever. We'll get into it when we get there. So it is, like I said, it's, basically what if that, if you don't know Johnny Quest, it was like one of those 60s cartoon adventure shows where, you're going to Marrakesh, you're going all these places, it's a little James Bond plus a little bit of Indiana Jones, kind of put together.
Basically, in the 30s, they had all those like pulp.
That's really where it
novellas
comes
and stuff,
from. For
or,
sure.
Like, if you never heard of, like, Doc Savage, The Shadow, all that shit.
Yep.
And it was basically, Doc Savage was basically, he's like super science adventurer with his 5 super science adventure, like, squad guys that just, they basically go around and fucking crush supervillains, basically. Yep. It's like kind of pre-Cape stuff almost. But then in the 60s, they kind of rebranded that. They basically took all that stuff and added a kid and made cartoons out of it.
And this, and the Venture Brothers is basically what would happen to all the people that lived through that and are now grown up.
Yeah, like after Johnny Quest, rode pterodactyls.
We'll talk about
crazy shit.
We'll talk about actual Johnny Quest when we talk about season 2. 'Cause
yeah.
poor Action Johnny, he's got some problems, boy.
At any rate, but it's a fucking amazing idea for a show, and I'm mad I didn't think of it.
It is what would happen if Velma wasn't terrible and cynical.
It's true.
It's what happens when people who actually care about the franchise.
Yeah, it's like you subvert it, but you love it, so you do it in like
exactly. And it's not even so
not
much
a nice way, but just a fun way.
And it's not even so much subversion, right? They didn't just remake Johnny Quest and make it like subversive, right? It's follow the thread, right? So if you went to adulthood, it's going to be a little weird. It's going to be a little cynical, but it's also hopeful. And it's also, you can tell there's a lot of love for that original content.
It's not like doomer shit. It's like,
No, The Venture Brothers is a show that's made with a lot of love. Like, it just really is. And a lot of attention to detail.
That's their baby.
It's great. Like, it is the exact antithesis of something like Velma, right? Like, it's just really, and a lot of the other things that have come out recently that are just cynical remakes. Like, it's just not that at all. So anyway, main characters here. So you got Dr. Venture, Dr. Thaddeus S. Venture, who's the son. He was basically the Johnny Quest. Now, granted, Johnny Quest exists in his universe, but Doc Venture was like the Doc Savage, right? He's the guy with the super science team.
He's exactly Doc Savage, basically.
From back in the day, who did all the freaking ridiculous super science stuff and had all the adventures. He was the kid. He's his kid, right? So now he's grown up. He's, 40, 45, whatever.
And he's got like PTSD from all the crazy adventures.
And he's on pills all the time. And he's a sad sack. But he's still got a ridiculous bodyguard. He's not a threat. Like, he's not as smart as his father. But he still has all his old super science stuff.
Yeah, and he inherited all his dad's company, like all his stuff. And he's smart enough to kind of like, he can just spruce up his dad's old crap and kind of resell it to the government. You know what I mean? So he gets by, but he's like in a shadow of his dad.
A big theme of the show was failure.
Yeah.
And what to do with that, how you deal with that. And it's good. It's really well done. So he's got his bodyguard, Brock Sampson, which is Patrick Warburton, and perfect. He's just the Swedish murder machine. He just runs around.
One of the best characters in anything ever.
So good. He doesn't use guns. He just runs around and murders barehanded and with his giant knife, like everybody that tries to do anything with Doc Venture. And they deal with that too. Like, he definitely has excessive murder lust.
Yeah.
He definitely kills a lot of people that he doesn't have to kill. There's a bunch of supervillains, and the primary one is the Monarch, who's a rich trust fund baby who hates Doc Venture for reasons no one really knows.
Yeah.
And they still, in the latest ones, haven't really resolved that, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of hints and a lot of stuff, but I think that'll be probably the final movie they do.
I would imagine so, yeah.
They'll explain that. But just comically incompetent, yet surprisingly capable at times.
Yeah.
Like, has a ridiculous flying cocoon, has a bunch of freaking henchmen. They're kind of competent sometimes, but they're also comically bad at other times. It's just, it's fascinating, right? Like, the way they do it. You got the kids, the Venture Brothers, right? Hanky Dean.
Yeah.
They might be death prone.
Yeah. That's Doc Venture's kid. Not
Doc Venture. Yeah, not original Doc Venture, but Thaddeus Venture. The kids, right? Doc Venture's, the original Doc Venture's grandkids. They're just silly Scooby-Doo style. Dean is the complete worry war like dork,
super
nerd, and Hank is. I don't even understand. They say at one point it's like he channels dead crazy people. It's like he channels dead crazy people. Like he's just the shit that comes out of his mouth. You're just like, what?
They're so good at dialogue.
Oh, very, very good at dialogue.
It's kind of amazing sometimes.
So that's the main core. You also got great side characters. You got
nothing but great side characters.
You got freaking Dr. Girlfriend with the super Doc Hammer does the voice, and it's just like a deep man's voice, but the character is just like Jackie O.
Yeah, basically.
Freaking great. And like they joke around with that. They play around with that.
It's really the Monarch's wife, by the way.
Monarch's girlfriend, and then not girlfriend, and later the wife. But that's seasons. You're getting ahead of yourself.
Sorry.
And then you got Byron Orpheus, who's he's basically Doctor Strange, except he's a necromancer, who lives like he rents out one of Doc Venture's rooms because he's got a giant compound, a giant super science compound. So
like one of it, like some old like warehouse, he just turned into an apartment.
And then other supervillains, right, like Baron Underbite and all these comical supervillains, right? And then later on, it starts getting to GI Joe stuff and everything else.
Yeah.
That's later seasons. So anyway, talk a little bit about some of the episodes. There is a if you watch this, it's on HBO Max. I think you can watch it.
I think so. Yeah.
There is a prologue pilot. That's the word I'm looking for. There is a pilot. It's kind of rough. Don't let the pilot be the thing that steers you away.
You don't even have to watch the pilot.
I would honestly.
I would skip it.
I would skip it and watch it at the end. Like watch the first season without the pilot and then watch the pilot.
Yeah, because the animation's bad. It's just kind of.
And it's kind of weird, and it's the tone's not quite right. Like it's an extra. It's not really.
They didn't really have it dialed in the pilot, but then the first episode is. Completely normal. Yeah.
Start with the first episode where Doc Venture is giving a lecture in Tijuana.
Yes.
And makes like no money, and then is trying to get off-brand like pills, and then Brock Sampson is killing Monarch's henchmen, and it's.
The other thing you have to understand too is organized villainy.
Oh yes,
like
the Guild of Calamitous
This is
Intent.
a very organized like cat and mouse game. It's not like people aren't just trying to murder each other. It's like kind of a.
Oh, it's sanctioned. Like unsanctioned villains get like bad things happen to them, right?
Yeah.
Like the Guild of Calamitous Intent. It's not the only organized villain organization, but they're the biggest one.
Yeah.
And they play a game with OSI, which is like the secret CIA.
Yeah, there's paperwork involved, like,
Yes, there's rules. Like you can't just go after you can't go after Doc Venture with like machine guns all the time and try to murder him, right? Like that's not what you're supposed to do because it's supposed to be like equal aggression matching and
everything's supposed to play out like an episode of a show, basically. You know what I mean?
It kind of does, yeah.
It's kind of like their answer to why no one ever got killed in Johnny Quest and stuff.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
why it existed in the first place.
Yeah,
right?
It makes perfect sense though.
So anyway, I don't want to go through all the episodes of the season. The first season arc is very good. Yeah, it would take forever. We could do whole episodes on that. Maybe we will someday. What were kind of your standouts of that first season? Like, what were the things you really liked?
There's a lot of episodes I didn't even realize were in the first season.
Yeah, I can't believe how quickly it gets off the ground.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was like, that had to be like third season. It was like first season.
The second episode on Gargantua 1.
Yeah.
I thought was way later, but it is not.
Oh, that's a good episode.
That's a good episode.
I mean, they're all good episodes.
Eeny Meeny Miny Magic.
Yes.
With the first one with Orpheus. So good. Where he makes like the Doc Venture basically makes the Joy Can. It's like an isolation tube you go into, and it grants all your like best, your heart's desires.
Yeah.
But it's powered by spoilers, the heart of an orphan child.
Yes.
Orpheus does not find that amusing.
No.
And they have to rescue Brock from it when he's just in his like orgy murder.
It's so funny.
That's a great episode. Ghost of the Sargasso.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
With the Ghost Pirates.
Yep.
And the Ghost Pirate.
That's like the origin of the Ghost Pirates too.
One thing you understand about the Venture Brothers, they do not waste interesting characters.
Everything comes back.
Everything comes back. Like seems like a one-off episode where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna see this Ghost Pirate captain once.
We're just gonna Scooby Doo these Ghost Pirates, and that's gonna be it.
No,
no, every episode
they will be back, and it's the way they weave the stuff in is fantastic.
It's kind of amazing. I
and-
wonder if they like sketched it out first. They must have.
right? Like this is
Or if it was just like, I like these characters, we're just gonna stick them.
these are the benefits of a boutique show. They're really good at weaving that together, and they're really good about changing, but still keeping all the core themes.
Oh, absolutely.
Like situations will change, people will change, even characters will change. Like Brock is not around a lot in a couple seasons, and he's off doing OSI stuff. But they weave that in, man. You get a bunch of great G.I. Joe Sphinx stuff.
you get all the Sphinx stuff. So good.
It's so... Oh, God, Bum Rush.
Sure
The best
lead.
G.I. Joe character. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's see. There's a lot. Tag Sale, You're It.
That might be my
The
favorite.
freaking
A lot of people
yard
hate
sale.
that. A lot of people dislike that episode, but I love that.
We're
episode.
selling death rays.
Yeah.
And he sells was it 24, whatever? The
The fucking lightsaber that like does nothing.
It's like a flashlight.
he's like trying to stab Rock Samson with it. He's just like, why does it keep going
Why
through and
does it not
nothing's
work?
happening? Oh, that's the one where he sells White and Billy Quizboy the fucking shrink ray, right?
Yes.
Yes, and then he needs it later in another episode.
He needs it later, and then it doesn't really work. But
White and Billy Quizboy are fucking
also
gold,
two
too.
good characters, like his friends from college. One is just an albino, like who still thinks he's a DJ and cool, from the 80s. And then Billy Quizboy, who's just like, I don't know, he's got that giant water baby head.
Yeah.
And the robotic arm, which he doesn't know how he got. They deal
get
with that
to
later,
later,
but
yeah.
so good. I love it. Was it the second season or the end of this season where it's just everything has an after the credits scene. Always watch the after the credits scene.
Yeah, you'll be lost.
Where like they had all the I think it might be in the Victor Echo November, so that's the second season where they have all the theories about like how Phantom Limb lost his limbs, and how Billy Quizboy lost his hand, and then who asked him? Is it Doc Venture asked him like, how did you get this? Like, yeah, it's a very good question. I have no idea.
Yeah. There's so many threads.
The threads are great. They always pay off. There's setup and payoff all over the place. The jokes are on point. It's not just cheesy Marvel humor. It's actually really good.
And
the
it stands up. It's not like stuff that was only funny in 2004. You know what I mean? It's
the snark is legit good. It's not just edgy, stupid millennial, like, ooh, it's snark. Like, no, it's very good. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say enough good things about it. Anything else you want to say about this? I've been blabbing a lot.
Nah, I mean, do yourself a favor and watch it. Like you said, skip the pilot, just watch the first season.
And then go back and watch the pilot. I'm not saying don't watch it, just don't let that be the first thing you watch. Because
even if you're too young to like know who Johnny Quest is or what any
it
of
doesn't
that crap
matter.
is, it doesn't matter. Like they basically explain it, enough.
And it doesn't matter.
No, but you get a
it's
feel
good even
for
without
it. You know
it.
what I mean?
Yep.
You get that he's like an old boy adventurer. You know what I mean? Like it's basic stuff.
Also, make sure you watch the special, The Very Venture Christmas.
Ah, that's a good one.
With the Krampus. And this was in 2004, way before the Krampus was like a thing that was cool. Like
they like accidentally summon it and it's just like humping everybody and like whipping children.
The first appearance of Tiny Joseph.
Yes. Poor Tiny Joseph.
Anyway, great show. Watch it. Just watch it. Watch this and then go watch that.
Yeah, we'll probably do the second season next week.
Yeah, we'll try to truck on and do it all, but
we might skip weeks here and there, but
we'll just to catch up. We're almost done with the second season rewatch. I think we literally only have the 2-part finale, so.
Yeah, I think so.
And the episodes are like 20 minutes, so not a big deal.
Yeah, standard cartoon fare.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on.
Let's move on to Freedom. The last thing we got to talk about today.
Freedom was a super pleasant surprise. Like, I just wanted to watch it because it was weird and gimmicky, and I couldn't understand how, like, a cup noodle company could sponsor an anime, and, how can a 7-episode cup noodle commercial be entertaining? That's what I wanted to find out.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised, because those first 7 episodes, we did the first 3
We watched the first 3, yep.
And damn, it is like a really good story. I was super impressed.
It's an interesting story for something that is, ostensibly a cup noodle.
Yeah, like
promotion.
good characters. I mean, it's pretty basic, but it's like very good.
So the basic plot is humanity.
The moon rules.
300 years ago, humanity was had missions to the moon. They set up a whole colony on the moon, and it was a whole staging area for a mission to Mars. Right. The whole point was we're going to go to the moon. We're going to have our colony on the moon. Then we're going to get ourselves to Mars.
Yeah,
right?
like you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Not just like shooting.
Yes,
people to fucking
Elon.
Mars.
For the love of God, moon first, then Mars. I get that, time, but both. And you can do both, but
I don't think we have time.
more than Mars. Well, let's not get there. Anyway, so then all sorts of bad stuff happened on Earth. Not nuclear war. It seemed like, well, it was a radiation, but there was all sorts of political upheaval and
Yeah.
It wasn't like the standard environmental collapse narrative, though. It was just like
Nah, it was just shit got fucked up.
a lot of bad stuff happened. There were wars, there was nukes, whatever, right? I guess, yeah, there were definitely nukes. And Earth became uninhabitable. So the people on the moon were just like, screw this. This is our colony. We're on the moon. Like,
Yeah, they
that's
cut off Earth, basically.
Yeah, we're the last vestiges of humanity. No one's left alive on Earth. Screw this. So this is 300 years later. At least as far as we know, it's 300 years later. Who knows if that's true, because there's a lot of lies going on in this show. And you have the main character, Takeru, and his two bros they're not as bad as the Akira hooligans, but they're basically the Akira hooligans.
Yeah, just like dialed down. They're more wholesome Akira hooligans.
They got the crazy future bikes with like trackball, like
steering
things, and like you could sit on them, like it's a goddamn throne.
Some of them are bikes. Some of them are like two bikes stuck together with a seat in the middle.
Yeah,
you like control the track balls.
It's got some wild stuff. So great designs, very cool.
Yeah, super cool.
3D CG, by the way, but and earliest 3D CG from 06. It's actually pretty good.
Terrible, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So can't complain. Better than some of the stuff I saw the last couple years. So
yeah, it's kind of amazing. Like they spent some money on it. Spent that cup noodles money.
They're basically just, they're up to no good, but they're
just like racing their bikes.
They're just racing bikes and stuff. They're not like the ones in Akira that are like, smashing each other with bats and like.
They're just some good old boys.
Breaking stuff. Yeah, they're just racing their bikes and having fun, right? And there's a whole racing circuit in like the tunnels underneath.
Yeah, it's kind of like Fast and Furious style.
Yeah, so apparently
drag racing.
They're outside, they're racing. And apparently, and the place is called Eden, by the way. Apparently, you have to be underground after a certain time, right?
Yeah. They have these
we'll
wristbands.
We'll find out why later, but
they have these wristbands that tell you where you have to be. It's like life is very regulated.
Everything is very regulated. It's very bureaucratic, very top-down bureaucracy. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, like if you get in trouble for stuff, you have to basically do these like work.
Yeah, so when they get in trouble for racing, they have to do volunteer work.
Yeah, that's what it is, volunteer work. I could not think of that word.
Sometimes it's like one of them was at like the old folks' home, basically.
Yeah.
And then if it's higher tier, you have to like, go outside and make sure the infrastructure is fixed.
Yeah, they have to go outside of the dome
on the surface of the moon,
maintenance and shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Which isn't that terrible. I mean,
no,
it's better than going to jail.
So the first episode it just establishes everything. Not a lot happens.
Characters, shenanigans.
The second episode, you get like some of the racing. Again, it doesn't do that much. So him and his bros, Kazuma and Bismarck. And then you have Tyra, who's the other interesting character. He's another kind of
he's like a
hooligan racer.
What's his face's rival, basically.
Yeah, he's Takeru's rival.
Takaru, yeah.
But he's like he definitely has more money and
he's got a way
bikes
nicer bike, yeah.
And a bigger crew. But he's not a total jerk. It's kind of interesting because he's not like, typically he would be the total asshole, but he's not. Like,
yeah.
They're actually kind of cool. So Takeru, is the whole plot in the first few episodes is just him souping up his bike because he wants to take on Tyra in like the tube races. And he does that,
just
and it's
standard rivalry,
And then it shifts a little bit, right? So they meet, what's his name? Alan?
The crazy old man.
Alan, right? The old man.
He's like one of the original, like
he's
OG,
descended from one of the original colonists.
Yeah, he's like descended from OG colonists, and he has all these like pictures of Earth and crap.
And the Apollo mission and all this stuff.
And
like
they
Apollo
live in
jackets.
like him and like some other people live in this like segregated section of
called
the city
Freedom.
Called Freedom. That they're just like, this is our like autonomous zone that you can't fuck.
Yeah,
with
we're
us
not
in.
going to deal. Like, you don't have to give us any services. We don't care. We also don't want to have anything to do with your stupid bureaucracy. Like, we're done. We just want to hang out over here, right? Because the bureaucracy is just crushing and overwhelming. Again, not. It doesn't. It's one of those. It's sneaky totalitarian, right? Like it's day-to-day life doesn't look bad.
It's
everything is provided for.
But it's like it's there.
It's not. But if you actually put a toe out of line and start to do something that they think is really dangerous, they will come on
They bust out
They
the
will,
spider
like-
tanks.
I was gonna say come on you. That sounds terrible. They will like come at you with the wrath of God
They will come
and
down on you.
and all kinds of spider robots. That's what I was trying to say. Come down to you with a lot of spider robots, which is really creepy. So anyway, Takeru is doing some of his community service outside on the surface of the moon, and he sees like something fall out of the sky and crash, and he goes, "What the hell is that?" Right? And it's a small crash, not a huge one. And he goes over, and there was like a, like almost like a tube-sized satellite, like a drone or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That crashes, and inside is a picture, and on the back it says, it's got a hot girl. He's all about hot girls.
Yeah, he's striking out with the ladies.
Yeah.
So he like gets this photo, and it's like a cute girl with like some kids, but they're like on grass, and there's like stuff in the background. It's like,
And he's trying to figure out where it is because there is grass on the colony and stuff. So initially he's going around the colony. He's trying to figure out where it's at. He's asking people. And then he eventually figures out that, they're on Earth. Like they talk to Alan and stuff. And they figure out they're on
the
Earth.
old guy. It's like, oh yeah, that's.
And then they end up going out and finding some more stuff. Later, they take Alan.
Yeah, there's like
hooks him up.
piles of shit because like apparently the people on Earth keep just shooting shit at the moon to try to make contact.
And he sees the Earth, and the Earth is not like a red dystopian wasteland. It's blue. It looks normal.
It's a sexy blue Earth.
Like, what the hell's going on here, right? So these are the kind of things that have been hidden from the populace by the Eden people. Don't know why yet. Haven't gotten there. And then the third episode, it really ramps up where they're trying to get. So there's a lot of stuff in like abandoned parts or disused parts.
Yeah, it's like old parts that nobody uses anymore.
Where there's like old escape pods and rovers and stuff that they had from when they originally had set up the colony that they haven't used because they haven't needed them. So they're going there because Alan knows that there's an escape rocket there that could get them to Earth. So at the end of the third episode, you see Takeru finally taking off with I think it was Bismarck because Kazuma helped him get out.
Yeah, he had to like
Tyra and because Tyra helps him. And Tyra and Kazuma help them and hold back the
fucking Connie tanks that are coming after him.
Yeah, the Connie tanks and
just all the Eden guys.
And all the Eden guys, that Eden administrator whose name I can't remember, but he's a total asshole.
He is an asshole. He's smarmy.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, like basically at the end of the episode they're launching. Yeah,
they're launching. So we figured that was a good spot. It's a good cliffhanger. Like it looks like they're trying to head to Earth. And meet that girl, of course. We'll see where it goes. I'm intrigued already. I like it. It's a good
really
idea.
Interesting, like good characters, really interesting story. They did a good job of like kind of establishing everything.
Yeah,
like,
you start to get that creeping feel of like this is a little too much bureaucracy. Like this is a little much.
Yeah, like they pepper it in because they, like you said before, they do a good job of like it's not really a shitty life. It's just like super micromanaged.
Yeah.
But then if you want to do anything that isn't what they want you to do,
they really don't want you doing
things
that.
Things escalate really fast.
Yes. So more like a true totalitarian regime, right? Like,
yeah.
Granted, we all think of like North Korea where it's just awful, but they're not all like that, right? Like, this is one that actually isn't poor. Like they have all the resources they need and all the cup noodles you could ever want.
It's probably like Commie China like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Remember when they kind of like opened up a little bit and they were like slacking
That's exactly
off on
what it's
communism? It's like, it reminds me of that. And there's random just like people eating cup noodles, which is hilarious.
Yes, they're always got cup noodles and they're very clear. Like
they jam it in the funniest ways.
Yes.
I remember when they're getting in the rocket and they've just got like giant boxes of cup noodles and they're jamming it there.
Oh, we won't have to go hungry.
it's like really the advertising is really herky-jerky.
You have to go into it understanding that it was paid for by cup noodles.
I like it though because they don't fuck around. They're just like, nope, this section is a cup noodles commercial.
And it's honestly not the worst. Listen, the Pizza Hut product placement in friggin' Code Geass made way less sense than this.
So
like, what is this random world? Why does it have Pizza Hut for some reason?
Not the slut. If there's one thing I don't want in the super future, it's the pizza slut.
I know.
Make it go
God.
Away. Too funny.
So bad. But anyway,
the cup noodle stuff is kind of funny. Anyway, like way fucking better than I expected. Like it's like an actually like
it's surprisingly
good anime so far.
I like it a lot.
I'm pretty stoked to watch the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to watch the rest of it. So we'll watch the rest of it and we'll get back to you and give you kind of a full feel for the whole thing. But I recommend it already. Like it may not stick the landing, but it's short enough. Track it down. Check it out.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't want to get cocky, but I don't know if it could fuck it up that hard, really, to make. Me
Oh
hate
well,
the
I
whole
mean,
thing.
come on now. Anime can.
I know.
Guy Sato's a good writer though, so we should be
That's
all
what I
right.
feel like. It seems like it's going in a good direction. Anyway, that's about it for today.
That's all we got.
So as usual, don't trust the government. Don't believe whatever conspiracy theories coming down the pike this week.
And get your cup noodle.
Yeah, there are no goddamn aliens. That's just a front, man.
Yeah. Or if there are, it ain't here. And they ain't in balloons we can shoot down.
Yeah, sorry to all those guys who got their like hobby balloons shot down
Yeah, man.
in the name of covering up train accidents.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. Catch y'all next time.
Peace.
Well, that's all for today, everyone. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour. Please remember to like and subscribe, and may your entertainment be always, well, entertaining.